Emily clutched her baby tightly as she stepped into the crowded terminal, the echoes of boarding calls blending with the quiet cries of her infant. It was late, far too late for someone like her to be flying, but she had no choice. Life hadn't given her many options. Her oversized backpack sagged from her shoulders, filled with formula, diapers, and just enough courage to get her through the night. People stared. Some looked away in discomfort, others frowned at the noise. She kept her head down, whispering soft words to soothe her child. When she finally boarded, Emily hoped for a quiet corner, a window seat where she wouldn't be seen or heard. But the plane was packed. As she made her way down the narrow aisle, she felt the weight of impatient glances and heavy sighs. Her baby let out another small wail, and a woman muttered something under her breath. Emily blinked back tears, heart racing with exhaustion and shame. Then she saw it. One last seat, next to a sharply dressed man with slicked back hair, his tailored suit pristine, eyes fixed on a glowing tablet screen. She hesitated, unsure if she belonged beside someone like him. Gathering herself, she gently slid into the seat and whispered, "I'm sorry." Her voice trembled, hoping he wouldn't be annoyed. The man didn't speak. He simply gave a small nod, barely looking her way, and returned to his device. That tiny gesture, neither welcoming nor cold, gave her just enough space to breathe. As the plane began to taxi, she rocked her baby in her arms, silently praying for a moment of peace. She had no idea her life was about to change in ways she never imagined, sitting next to a stranger who didn't yet seem to care. The cabin had grown quiet. Overhead lights dimmed to a soft glow as the plane sliced through the night sky. Emily sat still, her arms aching, heart worn thin from hours of gently rocking her baby, who had finally drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep. Every muscle in her body screamed for rest, but she didn't dare move too much, afraid of waking her child or disturbing the man beside her. Fatigue wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. Her eyelids fluttered. Without realizing it, her head gently leaned to the side, resting softly on the suited man's shoulder. The contact startled her awake for a split second, but he didn't flinch. No annoyed sigh. No subtle shift away. Instead, he slightly repositioned himself, making room for her weight without a word. She hesitated again, but exhaustion won. Within minutes, she was asleep, deeply, for the first time in days. The man glanced down, momentarily setting his tablet aside. He noticed the strain on her face even in sleep, the lines of worry, of struggle. Quietly, almost tenderly, he removed his jacket and draped it over her. It was a simple gesture, but one filled with silent understanding. As the flight attendant approached with a questioning look, he raised a finger to his lips. "Let her rest," his eyes seemed to say. The attendant nodded and walked away quietly. For the rest of the flight, the man remained still, guarding a stranger's peace as if it were his own. It wasn't something money taught. It wasn't in his boardroom training. It was instinct, compassion. In that quiet moment, high above the clouds, a powerful kindness took root, silent, unseen, but soon to change everything. The soft chime of the seatbelt sign and the subtle jolt of descent stirred Emily from her sleep. Disoriented, she blinked against the pale light streaming through the window. Then she realized, her head was still resting on the shoulder of the man beside her. Panic surged through her chest. She sat up straight, cradling her baby, and whispered a flurry of apologies, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to." The man turned to her with a calm, reassuring smile. "Don't worry," he said gently. "You both needed the rest more than I needed space." His voice was kind, without a hint of irritation. Emily's breath caught for a moment. Most people wouldn't have tolerated even a minute of what she had unknowingly imposed. But he had. And more than that, he had made it easier. As the plane continued its descent, the man tucked away his tablet and turned his attention to her. "What's your baby's name?" he asked. "Lily," she said softly, surprised by his interest. "She's beautiful. And strong," he added. Then, after a pause, "Where are you headed?" Emily hesitated, unsure how much to share. "Just trying to start over," she said honestly. "I have a job interview. Nothing fancy. But I'm hoping it leads to something better." The man nodded thoughtfully. Hope is a powerful thing. It wasn't until a passing flight attendant addressed him directly that Emily learned who he really was. "Mr. Carter, we'll have your car ready at the gate." Her eyes widened. Daniel Carter? The billionaire CEO? The man who'd started one of the biggest foundations for families in crisis? Her heart raced, not from fear, but from something she hadn't felt in a long time, the possibility that kindness might still change lives. The terminal buzzed with early morning chaos, rolling suitcases, reunion hugs, and distant announcements. Emily stood by the baggage claim, gently bouncing Lily on her hip, trying to stay awake and gather her thoughts. The flight felt like a dream now, and the man beside her, Daniel Carter, even more unreal. Yet he stood there, not as a billionaire CEO, but as someone who had listened, noticed, and cared. As the carousel began to spin, he turned to her with a quiet intensity in his eyes. "Emily," he said, reaching into his coat pocket, "I know what it's like to feel like you're carrying the world alone. I also know that people like you, who keep going for the sake of someone else, are exactly the kind of people who make the biggest difference." He handed her a small white envelope and a sleek business card. His name embossed in silver beneath the Carter Foundation logo. "If you ever want to start fresh, call me. People who care for others the way you do, deserve better chances." Emily held the envelope with trembling hands, unsure what to say. Before she could respond, he gave her a soft nod and turned toward his waiting driver. Once he was gone, she carefully opened the envelope. Her eyes filled with tears as she unfolded the contents, a check for $10,000, and a letter offering her a position at the Carter Foundation, working with programs designed to uplift and support single mothers like herself. In that moment, the weight she'd carried for so long began to lift. Not completely. But enough. Enough to believe that maybe, just maybe, her story wasn't ending in struggle, but beginning in hope. 6 months later, sunlight streamed through the windows of a cheerful daycare center buzzing with laughter and little footsteps. The once weary Emily now stood tall, dressed with quiet confidence in a neatly pressed blouse and ID badge that read Program Coordinator, Carter Foundation. Her eyes, once dulled by exhaustion, now sparkled with purpose. She knelt beside a nervous young mother at the reception desk, gently helping her fill out enrollment forms. "It's okay," Emily said with a warm smile. "I know this part feels scary. I've been where you are." Across the room, Lily giggled as she played with building blocks, surrounded by other toddlers. Her laughter echoed through the halls, blending with hope. On the wall above Emily's desk hung a gleaming bronze plaque. Carter Foundation, empowering mothers, one life at a time. The camera slowly zooms out as Emily hands the mother a welcome packet, offering a reassuring nod. Behind her, the busy center continues its rhythm of transformation, one mother, one child, one future at a time. Voiceover, gentle, heartfelt. Sometimes, all it takes is one act of quiet kindness from a stranger to rewrite someone's entire story. Be that stranger. And with that, the screen fades to soft light, leaving behind a feeling not just of inspiration, but of possibility. Emily's journey began with nothing more than exhaustion, fear, and a desperate hope for something better. What she never expected was that a simple act, falling asleep on a stranger's shoulder, would become the turning point of her life. Through Daniel Carter's quiet compassion and willingness to see beyond appearances, she was given more than just rest, she was given a second chance. What started as a flight filled with anxiety ended with an opportunity that lifted her from survival to purpose. And in accepting that gift, Emily didn't just change her own future, she became a beacon for others, a source of strength for women who now stand where she once stood. This story reminds us that real change often begins with the smallest gestures. A nod. A jacket shared in silence. A chance extended when no one else is looking. Because in a world that often moves too fast to notice those who are struggling, kindness still matters. And sometimes, one stranger's kindness isn't just comforting, it's life-changing. Let us all choose to be that stranger.